The last week in November, so a couple weeks ago, myself and 10 other individuals got to travel to Phoenix, Arizona to the National Association of Agricultural Educators Conference. And prior to the conference, we got to go to the Heard Museum, which is a museum that honors indigenous tribes in surrounding states and especially the Phoenix area. And overall, it was a really awesome experience for me and my classmates to do so. I really appreciate the Duvall funding because I think it grants us as pre-service teachers opportunities. It helps cut some of those expenses in half, so we're able to travel and do things like attend the Heard Museum, but also get to work with one another kind of before we graduate, and collaborate with ag teachers within our state and within our nation. It was just all around a great opportunity for us and wouldn't have been possible without that funding.
So one of the biggest takeaways that I got from being able to go to Phoenix, Arizona with the NAA conference sponsored by the Duvall Grant was the amount of networking that I was able to receive, connecting across the entire nation with different ag teachers, as well as some CTE teachers, and getting some experiences that I would never have had, travel and see some things I'd never be able to see before, meet people that I don't think I will ever meet in my entire life, and I'm glad that I was able to. That will help expand me in the future when it comes to my education, because even whenever you graduate college, you never should stop learning.
I'm just so thankful for the Duvall family and the grant that we received with it. Because of that, I'm able to experience what agriculture is like in other parts of the world, in other parts of the United States, be able to talk to all the different ag teachers and them explain how they might incorporate agricultural education into their classrooms because of the different commodities and businesses they have with their environments. The networking that I was able to receive, being able to talk to different people's opinion on teaching and opinions on how a classroom should be ran and managed.
NAE convention was an absolutely amazing experience. I really enjoyed being able to go and have a great time, kind of just building connections and socializing with my cohorts. I feel like I learned a lot about them as well as made a lot of connections that are really going to help me in my career. I got to spend time with some of the ladies that help run KAAE, as well as attend the FAST convention. I really appreciate the Duvall family for allowing us to have that experience.
The Duvall funding made it accessible as a college student to be able to actually go to Arizona. You know, it's not a cheap trip to be able to go out to a place like that. Not to mention the hotel, all the expenses associated with a trip, like the NAA conference. And for me, what I really got out of the conference, actually being there in Phoenix, Arizona, I mean, there was the cultural experiences, there was the learning opportunities and all the workshops that we did. But I found the most valuable part for me was interacting with a lot of people that will one day be my colleagues and peers. There's a lot of networking associated with that.
All thanks to the Duvall funding, my peers and I got to experience Phoenix, Arizona from a much cheaper standpoint. And as a college student, of course, that does burden a lot of the expenses on us and just trying to make it through student teaching and the rest of our experiences. But one crucial thing that I did take from this organization at the NAAE conference was definitely breaking barriers and being an educator that cares passionately about their students, embracing their differences, their culture, and their diversity in order to best suit their needs and fill their educational standpoints.
The Duvall Leadership Grant allowed me the opportunity to travel to Phoenix, Arizona for the first time in my life, and to experience things that I wouldn't have otherwise been able to pay for or to afford financially. So while at NAAE convention, I was able to take part in professional development, networking, and just really bring things back to, my classroom in the future and how I can develop not only educated consumers, but also leaders for the future in areas of agriculture.
One of the things that I appreciated the most about being able to attend NAAE convention as part of the Duvall Grant is that I got to interact with ag teachers in Kentucky, across the U.S., and from my own home state of Missouri. And the big takeaway I had was that as a Missourian, as someone who wants to go back and teach in Missouri, the top ag teachers in my state were at this convention. And I got to interact with them and interact with our director. And those connections, communication that we have, loved it. Additionally, just the fact of, okay, if the top people in my state are attending this conference, in the future I need to be attending this conference. So I'm appreciative that in my time here in graduate school that I've gotten to experience that, and I look forward to going back.
for a professional aspect of the trip, it was a eye-opening experience to me because I've always been on the edge of my seat of if I want to be in the classroom as an educator or why it's so pulling to me to be in this. And I was in a workshop where the keynote speaker was actually there to tell us about his experience in FFA and his experience in agricultural education. And he actually made the statement that has stuck with me still to this day. I wrote it down as soon as he said it was, if you're in this position or you're in this field for you, you're in the wrong field because it's all about the students. And as soon as he said that, I was like, that's it. That's exactly why I've been doing this whole time, is because it's been the students pulling me the entire time. When I made my very first observation, the students pulled me in and I was excited to go back every time. We only had a requirement of going for maybe 40 hours. I think I went almost 50, 60 hours just because I kept wanting to go back, and it's because it's the students. And if I hadn't been on this trip, I wouldn't have been able to go to those workshops and talk to other agricultural educators around me that I never met from other states. And I got to talk to them about what their passions are and what pulls them forward. And for me, it was a very eye-opening but pushing me of why I'm here and what I'm doing this for.